Welcome to Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman, the podcast for accomplished Black women ready to stop surviving and start thriving. I'm your host, Natasha Riley, licensed therapist and founder of Javer Integrative Wellness Services. This is where we move beyond talking about change to actually creating it. Every episode gives you practical tools to build a daily pleasure practice because you've already proven you can achieve anything. Now it's time to learn how to enjoy it. Ready to bridge the gap between knowing and doing? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman. I am your host, Natasha Riley, a licensed professional counselor that is all about supporting high-achieving Black women with self-care, pleasure, and rest. I am super excited for today's episode, but before we get there, I have to thank you. Thank you to my OGs for continuing to watch. Thank you to the new listeners because the downloads are running up, y'all. They are running up, and I'm super excited because I have put a lot of time into this podcast. So if you are new here, there are over 100 episodes of helping you be able to integrate pleasure, rest, and self-care in your day-to-day life. And they're foundational things. They're things that you can do for free. So go listen to those episodes, okay? Now, this episode, we have a guest. And I'm going to tell you a funny story because this is on video. And when someone gives me nuggets, when someone gives me gems, I take them. So after recording with this guest, I went to go look at the video and edit. And I was like, oh, you can see the vast difference in, she's professional and I just be playing, right? Her video is so crisp, clear. When I was looking at it to edit it, I said, it's almost like I could reach out and touch her. So I messaged her and I said, what camera did you use? And she told me, and you ain't got to tell me but one time because I knew this was going to be on video and I knew I was going to have to do an intro. I for sure went and got the video. So if you are listening, head over to our YouTube page so you can see this crisp, clear camera, and I'm going to drop her Amazon storefront where the camera is in the show notes and in the description for YouTube so that you can get you one, because if you are like me and you thought you were doing it, we weren't doing it. We weren't doing it. So go ahead and grab you one of these because baby, it is crystal clear. But before I introduce our guest today, I do want to remind you that we have this 7-day self-care reset that is completely free. 7 days of you learning how to prioritize self-care in the most foundational way. I know you go out here and you look at these messages and they're talking about bubble baths and going on vacations and going brunching and journaling and this, that, and the other. But sometimes you need to know where to start. Sometimes that's not where you start. You need to start where you are. And so every day for 7 days, I am giving you the foundational steps to implement self-care into your day-to-day because you deserve to take care of yourself. Now, our guest today is someone that I have been watching on YouTube for the last year. Her video came across my feed and I was hooked. I was hooked on her journey. I was hooked on how she gonna figure this out. I was hooked on how she's so transparent about her numbers and how she's navigating life. And as someone that is just dead set on prioritizing my self-care, my pleasure, and my rest, helping my clients, helping my team, I was just wrapped in awe of how she continued to create moments for that despite the hardships that she was going through. So let me introduce you to Symone Austin. Symone Austin is the personal finance influencer behind Life and Numbers, the online community where she breaks down money, work, and financial decision making using real life examples and real numbers. She shares transparent insights into income streams, debt payoff, career transitions, and the behind-the-scenes economics of content creation. Symone's work helps people navigate nonlinear careers, finances, and side hustles with clarity and intention. I hope that you enjoy this interview as much as I enjoyed speaking with Symone. I have dropped all of the links in the show notes and the YouTube description so that you can see the pivotal moment in her life that led to her coming into my life and some of the other areas that we've been talking about. So enjoy. So first, Simone, I want to thank you for coming to the podcast. This is an exciting
conversation because, like I was saying before we started recording, I watched you step into your pleasure in the last couple of months, and that has been exciting to see. So I want to start with who you were before things went down with your job. So I know you've been doing YouTube and you've been working a 9 to 5 and you've been showing your journey, but who were you and what were you trying to achieve before that day?
Hmm, that's a really, good question. I don't know if I thought about that before. Let's see. Before everything happened, I I felt more like typical, just, I feel like I went through the steps that I was supposed to in life, like graduated high school, graduated from
Mhm,
college, got my master's, started working. I was just kind of like working through the corporate ladder, I guess, just kind of
mhm,
my way through everything. So I was working as a UX content designer and I'd been in the UX space for like 8 years at the time. So
mhm.
I was working in tech and everything seemed normal and good. I knew that like a bunch of layoffs were happening and they'd been happening for like over a year at that time. So I was scared of that happening, just hoping that it wouldn't happen to me. And then
Yeah,
one day it did happen to me.
yeah. And so what were you doing with YouTube? Like what was the goal of that? Because you've been doing YouTube for a really long time.
Mhm. Yeah, so with YouTube, I started that in July of 2015, and I really just started because I was bored and I wanted like a creative outlet because in college I was a art student, and then once I graduated, I didn't have that creative outlet anymore. So when I first started, I was just playing around and just making videos whenever I wanted to. And it took me like 5 years before I ever got monetized. And when I did get
Mhm,
monetized, I was making like $200 a month on average in that range, and it wasn't until, like, November of 2024 that I started thinking like, "Huh, I wonder if I could ever, like, scale this," and I tried to be more consistent at that point,
mhm.
so trying to make sure that I put out a video every week. But yeah, I think the goal was with the YouTube channel was still having fun. I talk about money, so I wanted to document, like, my personal finances and hopefully teach other people things about personal finance. So having fun, learning for myself, teaching other people, and hopefully just making it like a side hustle. That's really where I was at before I got laid off.
Okay. And most of your videos, like you said, are about finance. What is it about finance that is so interesting to you and made you want to share your story?
Yeah. Everyone deals with money, so I like money is a very like taboo thing and people don't like talking about it and yet
Mhm.
literally everybody has to deal with it.
Right.
And it's not something that you're like taught in school and you just like if you figure it out, you figure it out type thing later
Mhm.
in life. And I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of power in talking about it because the more you talk about it, the more you're learning, the more you can grow within your own personal finances. And yeah, it's always been interesting to me because money is also like very psychological and what
Oh,
I
yeah.
do with my money makes sense to me, but it may not make sense to other people and vice versa. So I've always liked thinking of it from like the psychology standpoint too.
Okay. So what do you feel like your relationship was with your followers prior to this very vulnerable video? Like, your videos have been vulnerable, but that's behind the curtain. So what was the relationship like with the subscribers before?
I think before that video came out that went viral, I had around, like, 10,000 subscribers, I think. But I would say because it took me so long to get those subscribers that not all of them were active, so I wouldn't
Right.
say that I had, like, a super engaged community before that. I had been documenting other things, like, when I got my first house or not my first house, this house, so
This is
it's
the vegan house. We own this house.
but when I got my house, I documented that journey, so people were supportive, the people who saw those videos, but I didn't get a lot of traction on my videos really, like, before I went viral, so I would say I had a very, like, small community, and they were still supportive, but it was just in small numbers compared to what it is now, which I'm really, like, grateful for because there's a lot of people who watch every video, watch every single one, and leave comments every single time, So it's been really cool to see like the growth over the past year and some change.
Yes. Now let's talk about the infamous video. I will make sure to link it so that if no one has seen it, because that's what brought me to you. Like that was suggested to me. And I was like, what is she crying about? Like, what is going on? So I went and I watched it and I felt all the feels with you. So what made you record getting laid off?
I so before I had that meeting that's shown in the video, I got an email like an hour before that said, "Clear your schedule, attend this meeting." And it was from someone who I don't talk to a lot,
Mhm,
or I didn't talk to a lot, like they were higher up.
mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, this isn't good." Like,
I've never heard of you. I don't know who you are. Something's going down.
and I was like pinging other people on my team, like, "Hey, did you get this call or this email?" And like, I was wondering if it was going to be like a group call. And some people said that they did get it, but they were going to have it at a different time. And I was like, "Oh, this is a bad sign." So I just I partly I wanted like the security for me because if they were going to lay me off, I wanted to make sure that I documented everything that they were telling me to make
Mhm,
sure that like they didn't change things afterwards. Like if they said that I would get certain like things in my severance, like making sure
right.
that they didn't change that. And then also I have this YouTube channel and I document like my personal finances and I had just started a challenge that was like a no buy challenge on my YouTube
Mhm,
channel, and my intention was to not buy things
mhm.
throughout 2025 so that I could pay off my credit card debt. And I knew that this was going to affect that challenge. So I recorded it. I didn't know how I was going to use it for the YouTube channel. I didn't know if I was just going to use it like as B roll. But once the meeting started and afterwards, when I was talking everything out and like ended up crying, I was like, this is a really, like, powerful thing, and I know that other people are going through it right now too. So, I sat on it for, like, 3 weeks because I was very nervous to post it. The one, it's embarrassing, or I felt embarrassed, and also just I didn't know what would happen after sharing it with people, and like I said, I had a smaller audience then, so I was expecting, like, my subscribers to see it, but it, like, exploded. It was just,
Mhm.
like, overnight, just, like, hundreds of thousands of people saw it, and it yeah, it spiraled and has, like, over 700,000 views now, so it
How
got
was
very
it
big.
putting that video? Like, to go through
Uh,
those, to sit in it, still process it, then edit it, because you edit all your videos. So how was that process of reliving that? And then it lives, right? Like, you will always relive that moment, not just internally, but, like,
mhm.
externally, you can go and relive that moment.
I don't relive it, so it was very hard editing it. I don't like seeing myself cry and, like, it was very cringy, and then having to relive it, like, while I was editing it, so I edited it for YouTube, and I edited it for short form, and since then, I have not watched it. I don't go back and look at it because I don't wanna be reminded of it, and a lot of people have said, like, "Oh, you should do, like, a reaction video to it," and maybe that would get views, I don't know, but I don't want to relive it, and I don't wanna watch it, so maybe at some
Mhm.
point in the future, I'll feel differently and wanna do a reaction video to it, but as for now, I don't like thinking about that day.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one of the things, like, with my clients and in my practice, because we support high achieving Black women that, like you said, did all the things and slowly life started to unravel and all the things that they were told to do, it didn't go the way that they thought. So how was the grief for you to sit in the fact that I did everything I was supposed to do? I checked all the boxes, I had the job, like I did it, and this was the outcome.
It was it was hard. Like I said, it was embarrassing, but it also felt like I let people down. Like it felt like I let my parents down. Like I felt like they would be disappointed or like other people in my family. So it was hard to deal with everything because there was a lot of emotions happening at once. Because it was, like, letting go of this thing that I used to have, and then
Mhm.
also navigating, like, the very real concerns of, like, how am I paying for everything? I just bought my house a few months before getting laid off, so having to deal with that and just having to go into, like, survival mode
Yeah.
pretty quickly. I think I gave myself, like, the weekend after being laid off, like, I gave myself the weekend to kinda, like, feel all the feelings, and then after that, that's when I started looking for a job that I never found. Yeah,
Right.
in
Mhm.
corporate America, I had to create my own job. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it was a very hard year. There was a lot of moments of being really, like, sad and down on myself, honestly. There's a lot of, like, anxiety around things. Yeah, it was a hard year, and it wasn't until, like, the end of 2025 that I started to kind of realize that I was okay, and I had been okay since everything happened, even though, like, I was freaking out. Everything was still paid for, like, I still
Mhm.
had food, I still had my house, I was healthy, I still had my relationships with my friends and family. Like, I realized that I was internalizing a lot of things, and it took the better part of a year for me to realize that I'm okay, and maybe I should start doing something else, like, maybe I should pivot and do something.
Right. Now, my therapy ears perk up when you say that you thought that you were letting people down based
Yeah,
off of something that you could not control. What
yeah.
unpack that. What is that about?
I think that I've always been, like, the one because I have siblings, so I think I've been out of my siblings, the one that they didn't have to worry about the most. Like, I've always been, like, a straight A student. I was always, like, quiet in school, so I didn't get in trouble, like, that type of thing, and so, like I mentioned earlier, I felt like I kinda checked every box in life, and so this was, like, the first time, like, "Oh, something went wrong." So even though it's
Yeah.
like I didn't cause it, it still felt like, "Oh, this is my fault," type thing. Like, when I internalized it, I guess I'm still feeling like I did something wrong,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. How was allowing support during that time? So not just like being able to take support from your family and your friends, but you also doubled down on your YouTube page and you had to buy me a coffee and you started doing the digital things and like selling. How was it to be vulnerable and ask for help?
It was hard. Yeah, it was a lot of hard things last year, but yeah, I have always struggled with asking for help. I don't like being like a burden to anyone, so it's always been hard for me to ask for help, but like you said, I had to learn how to do that with friends and family. I ended up asking like one of my friends to live with me and I have a roommate
Mhm.
that helps financially. And with like online, like the buy me a coffee, that's not something that I had ever done before. I think it took like 3 months or something, like 2 or 3 months before I considered doing that. I didn't know, like, what would happen, but it showed that there's actually a lot of, like, generous people out
Mhm.
and I feel like online, there's a lot of negativity and that gets a lot
Mhm.
of attention, but behind that, there's still a lot of, like, positivity at the same time too, and a lot of generous people who showed a lot of support. And even with, like, me explaining, like, "Hey, if you don't do buy me a coffee, that's okay." Just watching the videos is also helping me and helping the channel perform. People would do that, like, people would just play my videos in the background while they're doing something.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and they'd say, like, "I'm watching every ad," like that type of thing. So, it I guess last year kind of, like, reframed some things in my brain, like, it's okay to ask for help, and it's not like you're begging, it's not like
Mhm.
yeah, and with, like, selling things online, like, changing the way I think about that, like, that's not being, like, a cringy salesperson either, like, it's
Yeah.
you created something that hopefully you're proud of and it's out there and it's available to other people and it's helping them and then we can exchange the like whatever you're offering to people you get money for it but it's not like you're like begging. It's kind of like an exchange system in a way. So just trying to like reframe things to show me that it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, I'm about 6 years in and I still struggle with that. Going out there and like, "Hey, buy this thing."
Mhm.
How do you feel like the transition from because you didn't necessarily have a choice
Yeah.
to build your business and do the things that you were doing, like most of the Black women who are entrepreneurs, not by choice. How do you feel the transition was working from corporate to working for yourself? Because I know I struggled because I was working for myself for like 5 years. I was trying to work 40 hours a week. I was like trying to give myself a lunch. Like I was trying to do it the way they did it. And one day it really took somebody saying, 2 hours is enough. Like, if you do all your work in 2 hours, that's absolutely fine, and I feel like that was a game changer and blew my mind. So how was the transition for you?
I feel like I'm still trying to figure it out. I feel like I have been doing like way more than 40. I don't count it, but it at a certain point I was working like every single day, and it was
Mhm.
until like 2 weeks ago that I finally started implementing like a new system where I don't work on the weekends. So the past 2 weekends I've just been like existing, and it's been really nice. But it's very different. I think it's easier to kind of because you're in my case, like I was more passionate about what I'm doing
Mhm.
now. So it's harder to like set limits. So it's
Mhm.
easier to like overwork yourself. So I'm trying to not do that. But then also I think there's like a beauty in it where I'm not a morning person, but I had to be one like in
Right.
corporate. So now it's like it's okay if my day starts at 10 o'clock
Mhm.
because no one's gonna do anything about it. Right. So yeah, like, even, like, doing meetings in the afternoon because I'm not a morning person. I even if I'm up, I don't like talk
Right.
in the morning, so I can kinda, like, design my day how I want it to be, so there's that upside, but then it also takes a lot of discipline too because there's no one checking to see, like, if you're doing your work, and if you're not doing your work, then your business is gonna suffer, so yeah, I think there's definitely differences to it, and it's kind of I guess you kind of get into your own swing of things over time.
Mm.
Yeah. So you've been doing it longer than I have, but I'm
Still
still
trying
trying
to
to
figure
figure out what flow to be.
Listen, I need to be real with you for a second. You're here listening to this episode. Maybe you're nodding along, you're feeling seen. And girl, that's beautiful. But if you're like most of my listeners, you're going to finish this episode. You're going to feel all inspired for about 10 minutes and then go right back to your regular life where you're still putting everyone first. I get it. I've been there. But here's what I've learned: the gap between knowing what you need to do and actually doing it is where transformation lives. Now, if you're tired of just consuming content about self care and you're ready to start practicing it, not tomorrow, not next week, but starting today, I created something specifically for you. It's called the 7 Day Self Care Reset, and it's exactly what it sounds like: 7 days of simple, actionable steps that help you move from thinking about prioritizing yourself to actually doing it. No overwhelm, no complicated systems, just practical tools that work with your real life. You'll get permission to put yourself first, learn to recognize those inherited patterns that keep you stuck, and discover what your authentic desires actually are underneath all the expectations. This isn't about adding more to your plate. I'm not going to do that to you. It's about finally honoring what's already on it, starting with you. Ready to stop listening and start living? Visit javerywellness.com/reset. That's RESET. And let's do this work together. Because the woman who just listens and the woman who actually takes action, they live completely different lives. Now, back to the episode.
Still trying to figure it out because now I have a team, so it's like, okay,
Uh-huh.
there's a whole lot more responsibility, and it's not just me. Because if I learn that, right, it's me, but overseeing people, and I did end up going back to work. So now I have a 9 to 5 and I have a business and I have a family and I'm still trying to have a life. So it becomes a
Mhm.
lot.
It's a lot to manage. Yeah.
Mhm. How has self care been for you? I know one of the things that you made sure to do was you still went on trips, you still did homecoming, like you still made sure to have a good time despite the fear and the unknown of not having the job for the year.
Mhm. I would I say that, like, every chance of happiness that was presented to me, I took it.
Oh,
That Yeah,
yeah.
'cause it's like if the times when, like, I wasn't happy, it would just be me surrounded by, like, my own thoughts, and I was like, "Nope, I have to" like, anytime I can be happy, I'm gonna take it. So, yeah, I still went to I'm a proud graduate from North Carolina A&T. So, I went to GEO. My friends I have really great friends. They would let me tag along with their trip where they went throughout the year. I saw Hamilton when Leslie Odom Jr. was back as Aaron Burr, so I still took any chance to do something fun because I think that that's important. Like, another thing I didn't give up, I still worked out, so I
Mhm.
went Pilates, so I kept that going as long as I could, and then when it was like a started being like a financial burden, like, someone helped me out with that.
Right, someone took
Thank
care of
you.
that for you.
Yeah, so things that were important for me, things that gave me like a break during the day where I didn't have to think about what was going on with my life, I took it. So I think everybody should, if you can and when you can, like work out or work in room
Mhm.
to do something that will bring you some joy.
How was the process of putting that out there and the comments of people like, "Why would you do that?" Because then you go to was it New Zealand?
Yeah.
Where you went like that,
I did do a lot of things.
and they're like being a creator, right? Like, you're engaging with your audience, and you're like, "Well, what do you all think?" And then they start giving the comments, and you're looking at the comments, and they're like, "Why would you do that? You should be doing this. You should be doing that." So how did you filter between 'cause you don't know what's right and wrong, like, right and wrong is very subjective for your particular life. So how were you able to, like, push out the noise to do what was right for you despite being terrified and of the unknown?
Mhm. Yeah, like, with New Zealand, that trip was already paid for before I got laid off, so
Like,
I
I
was
was
like,
going,
"Well"
it's happening.
yeah, the money was spent, and I just made sure I had a strict budget for when I went out there. But, yeah, people were mad that I went on New Zealand trip.
Well,
Yeah, but I guess to answer your question, like, I know my life and what I know, like, all the details because I share a lot of things, but I'm the only person who knows, like, everything that's going
mhm,
on, so I make educated decisions on what I can do financially and what I can't do financially, and then also, like, I knew that trip would be a good reset for me. It would be a
yeah,
good break from just the reality. I was in a completely different location, like the other side of the world, and it was just a nice escape from everything that I was going through, and I knew that I still needed to go, like, for my own benefit. So yeah, I think knowing what's best for you is the important thing, especially when if you're a creator and you're sharing your life online, that comes with a lot of comments and everyone has an opinion and they're basing their opinion on, I don't know, a 15-minute video, but
mhm.
you're the only person who knows what your life is like 24/7. So just do what's best for you and the people who had negative comments, they probably didn't stick around, but the people who
More
did,
did
like,
the 12.
you're still here. So
I love that. I love that you still felt the discernment within you, which led to the video that I watched. And I was like, oh, because it's everything. Like, I have to interview her because there was this blossoming where you put the video out where you were like, you know what? I've decided I'm no longer going to look for a job. And I was like, yes, look at her making a decision, right? Like, I was so proud because it's a scary thing to do, but also I feel like I watched you learn what it is that you actually wanted. And to hear your story and say that, like, you were creative before and then you got into corporate. And of course, our creativity gets stifled by being very logical and doing the things that we're supposed to do. And I just felt like there was a full circle moment in that video when you were like, yeah, I've made the decision. I'm not doing this anymore. So What led up to that? Like, how did you feel convicted in your, "Yes, I'm choosing me"?
Yeah. So as that year went by, as 2025 went by, like by the last part of the year, quarter four, I was just like, why has this not happened yet? Like I
Mhm.
like publicly sharing like my journey. I went to a conference. I was featured on CNBC. Like I just felt like after certain bigger things happen, like I just knew that it was going to happen and it didn't. I still didn't get a job. And there were two jobs that I was really interested in. And I thought that I was like a shoe in for those jobs. And I'm, like, pretty spiritual, and I was talking to God about it, and I was like, "God, if I do not get, like, a interview for the if I don't even get an interview, I'll just take it as a sign that you don't want me to go back to corporate America." And one job, it took them a week to say no, that they were not interested in me, and then the other one, it took them, like, 2 months. So,
Mhm.
like, so does this mean that you don't want me
Ask question, but give me another one.
I'm like, "Huh, well, this is a big deal. Like, what am I gonna do if I don't get back to corporate America?" And I guess, like, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this entire year I have been okay, like, financially, like, even if it didn't feel like it, every bill got paid,
Mhm.
and, like, I was still doing everything that I need to do. I was still able to do, like we talked about, like, these moments of fun and
Mhm.
joy, and I was like, I've been able to do this without even or sorry, I've been able to, like, support myself without even trying to, like, thrive while doing it.
Right.
I was just trying to survive, and I was able
Right.
to do it, and I just kept thinking, like, "What if I really, like, really went for it and
Mhm.
didn't just try to survive, but tried to thrive?" Like, if I had certain amounts of money coming in, like, every month, and I tried to do even more things with content. So, I thought about it, I prayed about it, and I was like oh, also, I should mention, I still had savings. So,
Right.
I hadn't touched much of my savings during that year because content creation
Mhm.
kept growing. So I said, like, I have a certain amount of runway, like I should be okay for an extended amount of time. And if things fall off, if content creation falls off, I still have the savings and hopefully corporate America will take me back at a later date if
Right, when
things
I'm
don't
ready.
work out.
Right,
But
right.
I realized that, like, I was in this really, like, unique bubble where, like, in a normal job market, I should be able to get a job,
Mhm.
in but what was happening on the YouTube channel and the growth that I had, like, there's no guarantee that that is going to happen again.
Right.
So I just decided to go all in and bet on myself.
I love it. I love it. And how do you think the view of yourself has changed, or like how you value yourself and your worth has changed over this year?
How to answer that? It's definitely like, how I view myself has gone up.
Mhm.
I'm really, like, proud of myself, even though that sounds corny to say.
No, I love it. Proud of you too. Shoot.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of myself because, like, I didn't think, because kinda like what we were saying before, like, the goal of the YouTube channel, like, it was never a goal for me to do it, like, full time. I just wanted it as, like, a side hustle type thing. So, the fact that I am doing it full time and I feel comfortable enough to intentionally do it full time now, like, I'm really proud of myself, and as scared as I was last year, the fact that I was able to make things work and just keep trying new things and putting myself out there. I'm also, like, a quiet person, so I feel like I've grown a lot in that way this year, doing things like this even. I can't I didn't see myself, like, a couple years ago doing stuff like this, so yeah, there's been a lot of growth, and even though it was hard and I would not want to relive 2025,
Right.
in a
Right.
certain way, I'm glad that it happened if I was gonna end up here. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I love that you have like, as we do when we are in business, we just like throw ourselves into the resources and like gravitating to all the things. And you recently did something that is like very aligned. So you have 2 books that are like your holy grails. And I was like, look at her. So your first book is We Should All Be Millionaires, which is so in alignment because when I first quit my job, I was listening to Rachel's podcast.
Yeah.
She had the club, and I was like, let me just try it. I don't know. So I was in her club for a year, and it's where I have met some of like my best business besties ever. So I was like, okay. So I was around to get like the training from her books, and I was there when her book came out. So I was like, oh, and then 10 times is easier than 2 times. I was introduced to Dan Sullivan through a podcast, but it was Who Not How. So I read Who Not How, The Gap in the Gain, and then I landed on 10 times is easier than 2 times. And I was like, okay, so I got to be doing something right because she lived by these books. And so through that, you just did the 10K in 10 days, which I like. I was very, very, I keep saying I was proud, but like, I was just like, look at her. Because when I tried to do that, when she first rolled that out, like, I felt so defeated. And I think it was just like the lack of believing that I could do that. So to watch you do something that I've done multiple times and I just like didn't have the gusto within myself to do it. And not only did you do it, like you surpassed it. And you talked about how the way that you view your ability to do things changed because you were like, there was a mission behind this, which is pretty similar to your YouTube channel over the year, which was, I need to be able to pay my bills. There's a mission behind this.
Mhm.
And then you were doing that because you wanted to pay the credit card off. And then after both of those things, the pattern is I wasn't even really trying. Like I was doing it because I had to. What would happen if I didn't have to? And I just like really went in. So from that, what was like your thought process when you did it? Like I know I watched the video, but the listeners didn't watch the video. So like what came over you when you were watching the numbers just go up and go up and go up and you realize, oh, I have to pay this credit card off in like 30 days.
Yes, it was crazy because I'm like, I'm watching my account and I'm seeing like the deposits hit and everything. And I think it was I think it was close to 10 days and I had generated like around 13,000 and the if you haven't seen the video, I my credit card was 15,400 something that I needed to pay off in 42 days. So I realized that like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it, and so I realized that I needed to increase the goal, and I increased it to, like, 22,000. I don't know if I should spoil what happened, but you should go watch the you need to see the final number. But but yeah, it really changed, like, how I thought about myself and what I thought was possible, and it also showed me that a lot of times I already have, like, the resources and skills that
Mhm.
I need, I just wasn't using them correctly. Because I talk about it in that video saying that, like, I came up with this plan, this mission to do it in these 42 days, but I hadn't done it in the 42 days prior to that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I wasn't able to do it back then if I was able to do it now, and the difference was I didn't try. Like, I wasn't trying to make $15,000.
Mhm.
I was just trying to hit, like, okay, mortgage covered, bills covered.
Mhm.
So, just the idea of trying for something, like, greater allowed me to do it, and so, yeah, it's changed how I think about things, and it's changing, like, my goals for the future and what I want for myself. Because I have student loans, I have a
Right.
mortgage that I would like to refinance and get that down, so there's a lot of things that I wanna do, and it showed me that, like, I've been thinking smaller than I need to,
Mhm.
and I need to be thinking big about about my
Right.
goals, what I want.
Mhm. So how is it felt to be a bit more popular throughout this process? Because like you're processing life but you're processing life in front of people. And while we don't get like the whole scope of it, I think you do a really good job of being like super vulnerable. I think anyone that shows their numbers, hats off to you, right? Like that's a really vulnerable part of you. I always say sex and money are two things that are just like make people really uncomfortable, and you
Mhm.
pretty much are naked in front of people. So how has how has it been to like grow, evolve, and become would you call yourself an influencer, or you just call yourself a content creator? Like what how do you label yourself now?
I guess I call myself a content creator. It feels weird to think of myself as a influencer. So I don't know what other people call me, but I don't think of myself as an influencer. But as I've, like, grown, sometimes it doesn't click in my head that, like, as the
Mhm,
subscriber count goes up that, like, "Oh, those are real people," and,
mhm,
like, these are real people watching. Because I guess I still think of myself as, like, a smaller creator and, like yeah, so it's something that I guess I need to work on to realize that, yeah, these are real people watching. Because I have, like, 74,000 right now on YouTube, and then the other platforms are growing too. So and also people have, like, seen me out in real life before, so that's starting to happen more, and it always throws me off because 'cause I'm thinking, like, we went to school together or something. Like, and then they say like, "Oh, I watch your YouTube channel." And I'm like, "Oh." So it is something that I guess I'll have to get used to as I keep growing.
yeah, because you said that you were quiet and you keep to yourself. So I can imagine you're like, Am I supposed to know who you are?" Like, but
Thinking like,
there's
"Oh, did I
kind of
forget? Have we met before?"
do you feel like it's a bit humbling to hear people's stories and hear how proud people are and how long they've been following you and that they've been taking your tips and your tricks and this is how it's growing their life and transforming them?
Yes, it's always surprising to me, especially like you said that you've been watching since the layoff video. Like it always surprises me when people say that. Often, like, I don't know what to say in return to it, so I just say thank you. But yeah, it makes me feel good that with me sharing, like, what's been going on in my life, it's been, like, helping other people. Or, like, the video where I paid off the credit card debt, there were a lot of comments that said that it inspired other people to pay off their debt quicker. So it always feels good to hear things like that. But at the same time, it kinda catches me off guard because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, I'm just me. I'm just."
I know. I understand. I when I do stuff, I always think, even with this podcast, right? I'm like, nobody's listening. And then I'll get emails and I'm like, oh, are you talking to me? Like, always assume. And people are like, no, like you have an authority. And I'm like, really? I go to work and I just do this. Like I don't ever think it, but like you get to like see the numbers go up and then you've started going live and so people are talking to you and it's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, you're kind of becoming that girl, Simone.
Oh, oh, that's new. Yeah.
I love that. So I started off by asking you, who were you then? If you were to kind of fast forward to now, who are you now?
Now I am a content creator, proud to say that, a full-time content creator who is passionate about sharing my journey and different tips online, and someone who is still kind of figuring things out as I go along. But I feel like very happy in life, even
Mhm.
if like it can be stressful figuring things out and running the YouTube channel and things like that. But it's a happy type of, I said stress, but I guess I don't wanna say stress. I'm just trying to figure out, like, the right way to do things and the right
Mhm.
then and processes for everything. But I it's like a puzzle that I'm trying to solve, but it's a fun puzzle to solve. So I'm a lot happier in life. I think I'm happier than before I got laid off, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does it how does it feel to say that and to acknowledge, like, I am happier now than when I did all the things I was supposed to do?
Mm. It feels good because it's an unexpected type of happiness,
Mhm.
that I wouldn't have picked this for me, like, I wouldn't have picked to get laid off, and I wouldn't have
Mhm.
chosen to go through 2025. I would've I had, like, a six-figure job, I was comfortable, I would've if someone had asked me, I would have chosen to stay where I was at in my comfortable, like, little bubble, but I'm glad that the bubble popped, I guess,
It was
and it's like
necessary.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, because I always feel like being a business owner, working for yourself makes you develop in a way that you probably never would have developed if you just stuck to the day-to-day 9 to 5. It's almost like you have to personally develop 10 times faster than everybody else to
Mm,
be able to do all the things you're doing. So there's no way you would have gotten to know her who
yeah.
you are now without that happening.
Mhm. I agree. There's a lot of self growth and like development that's been happening because I'm way stronger than I thought I was. I'm able to like solve problems quicker than I thought that I could. I'm more like resilient. So yeah, it's been a process getting to
Yeah.
the version of me, but
Mhm.
I'm happy with the end result. And I guess not end result because there's always going to be more growth.
Ongoing. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm liking the journey that I'm on.
I love it. I love it. So I know one of your big goals is 100,000. You want the plaque. I know
I
you want
do.
the plaque. What are some more like overarching, big, hairy dreams that you've developed as you've seen what you're capable of doing?
Ooh, yeah. I want the same thing on Instagram as well. I don't talk about that as much, but I want
Mhm.
K on Instagram. I'm at 23,000 right now. There's other things. I think I would love to do my own podcast one day. So, I don't think I wanna start it this year, but that's something
Mhm.
that I'm thinking about for next year. I love reading, so maybe, like, a book one day, like
Mm.
yeah, those are things that I'm just thinking about and imagining, but yeah, there's a lot of things that I wanna do, but I'm just trying to do, like, one of them at a time and try to, I guess, space things out.
Yeah, and celebrate, right? Because being high achievers and doing the things, it's always like, oh, what's next? Oh, what's next? And like years will go by, and people like, do you realize what you've done? Let's think about like, and then they list it off, and then you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I have done some things. I should probably celebrate that. So I think your plan to space it out allows you to revel in it and celebrate it and let people celebrate you and then transition softly into the next thing.
Mhm, that's a good point because I didn't even celebrate, like, 50K on YouTube. It was cool when it happened. I think I made, like, a post about it, but I didn't do anything, like, special in my life for it because I was still focused on, like, just I was in survival mode at the time, but I definitely think it's important to kinda sit and clap for yourself for these, like, milestones because it is a big deal. Those are, like, content creator like, milestones, but I'm sure, like, every industry has its own mile
Mhm.
that you're trying to reach, and, yeah, I think it's good to kinda, like, sit in that for a second and then kinda prep for the next big thing.
Yes. So for the listener who's like, Simone, I don't have my job. They laid me off. I cannot find a job. I'm in survival mode. I don't know where to go from here. What do you say to her?
One thing, it may be, like, hard to hear this because you are in survival mode, but at least for me, that being laid off was, like, the only break I've ever had from working.
Mhm.
Like, I had my first job when I was in high school, I had jobs when I was in college, and I've worked ever since. So, I had other people telling me, like, "This is unemployment, it won't last for forever, so kinda, like, enjoy it while you can." But it's really hard to do that when you're in the middle of it.
Mhm.
But if you can, like, I'd suggest trying to find ways to kinda enjoy, if you can, the unemployment, but not just enjoy it and, like, enjoy the free time, but also use that free time to really think, "Do you want this again?" Like, whatever you were
Mhm.
laid off from, do you wanna go back because of the money and benefits, that type of thing? Or do you wanna go back because it's something that you're truly passionate about? Because it took me a long time to realize it, but I realized I wanted the security again. I wanted the benefits, the health insurance, that type of thing. But I was more passionate about being a content creator. So it may be like a blessing that this happened if it allows you to have enough time to sit and think, what do I actually want? Because this could be your chance to go after something different.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Owning Pleasure as a Black Woman. If this conversation sparked something in you and you're ready to take action, don't let that inspiration fade by Monday morning. Visit www.jrewellness.com/reset and start your free 7-day self-care reset today. Because the woman who just listens and the woman who actually takes action, they live completely different lives. Talk to you next week. Bye.